Welcome back, everybody. Derek Sue, your Oakland special election mayoral candidate. Today, I want to talk about family legacy. And a lot of you have been asking, well, what's a legacy family? Well, legacy family is a family that has had a major impact on the city itself. And our family or the city of Oakland. Let me start at the beginning. Our family first came here. My great grandfather first stepped foot here in America and in San Francisco in 1850 during the gold rush. But then when he got up there, there was a lot of racism. There was a lot of things that weren't good for his health. So he came back to San Francisco, found little to no opportunities, went back to China. At the age of 11, my great grandfather came here, Lew Hing, uh, and he was sent here to work with his brother in San Francisco in a tin shop making cans for the canning business. So his brother, shortly after getting Lew Hing up to speed on making cans, soldering cans, because back then children did labor. There were no child labor laws back in the 1800s. Back then, child labor laws didn't come out until the 1930s. So we're a long time from protecting children from harmful labor like what he was exposed to in San Francisco. But his brother died on a ship when he traveled back to China to visit his family. The ship caught on fire off the coast of Japan and sank. Lew Hing's brother was able to save a lot of people, several people, before he drowned, succumbing to um, being tired from rescuing people and swimming. So anyway, bringing things up to today. Lew Hing, my great grandfather, he put Oakland on the map, literally, at the during World War One. And you say, World War One, that's going back a ways. Well, yeah, you have to remember, uh, we, the family, really came to Oakland right after the 1906 earthquake, because the family home was destroyed in the San Francisco Chinatown, and the racism that was going on in San Francisco on the Chinese. Um, Lew Hing brought his family everything that he could over to Oakland. And in that visit to Oakland, shortly, he realized that he needed to get housing for his family, but he didn't have anything other than money. And so, being the richest man in Oakland at the time, the richest man in Oakland, he was able to buy a home cash. He literally found a home that looked like it was suitable and large enough for his very large family along the lakeshore around Lake Merritt. And he bought that property. He simply uh, explained to the homeowner, and it didn't matter about white covenants or anything. This was desperate times. And the offer was so great and over the value of what the current homeowner had. He simply took the check, and Lew Hing said, "You can grab whatever personal belongings that you deem necessary, but I need everything in that house as much as possible." So that homeowner literally walked away with just the clothes and suitcases and handed everything over to my great grandfather. That's how we secured a home along Lakeshore, the first home. And after that, the 1906 earthquake brought a lot of Chinese from San Francisco, and that brought a lot of anger from Piedmont, uh, which wasn't called Piedmont yet, but they decided to make an all-white enclave and incorporated the city of Piedmont in 1907 because of the racist views of certain Oaklanders at the time. And the reason why it really triggered that incorporation was because my great grandfather's cannery, Pacific Coast Cannery, purchased a full city block right across the street from an all-white Covenant neighborhood named Santa Clara Avenue. Yes, Santa Clara Avenue back in the 1900s was an all-white enclave. And it was because of my family moving into those homes, and my uncle, my mother, and my other uncle all being born in that house, 361 Santa Clara Avenue, created a white flight from the Grand Lake area. And that's how the area really did a big switch during the 40s, because that's when Asians were actually allowed to own property. We were owning property before it was legal, and how we had to fight for that, because during the uh, destruction of my great grandfather's wealth by the U.S. government, they took everything, or they made it extremely difficult for him to run any of his 17 businesses. But the smart thing that he did do was keep the titles of all five of the family homes on Santa Clara Avenue in the family-owned bank in Hong Kong. If you remember, Hong Kong was already under British rule, and so silver, the British sterling silver ruled, and that's how we saved the home, and also we saved the wealth of our bank by not being in the United States monetary system at the time, but we were in the British monetary system, and protected with sterling silver. So there was a lot of things that our family takes credit for. The creation of Chinatown, assimilating the hundreds of Oakland Chinese residents in the early days, where they had nowhere to go. There was nobody understood them. We didn't have laws. We didn't have rights. We weren't wanted by the dominant population back then. So it was a very different time. But a lot of you are saying, well, how do we know all of this is true? Well, you can actually read about it. Bruce Kwan Jr., my cousin, who was also ran for Oakland City Council at-large position, was beaten by Rebecca Kaplan back in 2016. He wrote this book, Bitter Roots, and it's a good detail of the family journey from the first footsteps on the San Francisco shoreline to today. And on top of that, then we had another author who was not associated with the family, Roland Huey, and he wrote Chinaman Tycoon, and this is a very in-depth book, and he did a lot of research on this, and it also bookends with Bitter Roots. So it's a lot of factual history that's been omitted from Oakland history. This was one of the founders. And I get a lot of folks say, hey, that guy looks a lot like you. This guy right here, I look like him. I get that a lot. And everything I'm doing has a lot of approval in the city of Oakland, much like My great-grandfather, he became like a godfather to many throughout the Bay Area in business, and it didn't matter what race. And I work with a lot of people. In fact, our family is still very involved with the city of Oakland and in Alameda County. Bruce Kwan Jr. He, like I said, he ran for Oakland City Council at large position back in 2016. He's now retired, and he is also one of the architects of the Oakland ceasefire program back in its early days. He was one of those that helped form that particular program. So we've been very involved in Oakland politics for a very long time, and very quietly working in the background. I myself, I've got 20 years of Department of Defense, counterterrorism, and Department of Justice training behind me. So I bring a lot of that to the table. And I'm looking at revamping our police department from the top to bottom, making it one of the most elite and best examples of policing force in the United States, because we're going to be training that way. We're going to be getting rid of, I have a plan to get rid of that federal oversight person, Warshaw, and instead of paying him the $1.2 million that we do annually, I plan on paying another agency who can actually teach and train our police force the way that it should be trained. So these are some of the things that I'm looking forward to. I've also got solutions for our homeless and our affordable housing issues. I've got solutions for our policing. There are so many solutions that are out there that I bring to the table. Again, my family, we were the third largest cannery on the West Coast. The largest at the time was Del Monte and Libby Foods, and so we were the third largest. So we were a significant player in the canning business here in Oakland. And we, at one time for a number of years, were the biggest year-round employer here in Oakland, with over 1,100 employees year-round in 3 shifts at the cannery. So we were significant. We literally put Oakland on the map because of our canned goods that were reaching Europe, going to Belgium for the reconstruction of Belgium, reconstruction of Europe, because the American can companies weren't interested in those contracts when they first became available, until they saw how much money that this one little Chinese owner was making. And then all of a sudden, that's when they started jumping in. But we still had the biggest contracts. But then how they got rid of my great-grandfather was, hey, how's the Chinese guy owning a business that he can't own working in the United States? He's not supposed to be able to own property. And so they chipped away at it slowly. But again, back to the house, the British government said no to the U.S. government in terms of turning over the titles to those homes, those 5 homes in Oakland on Santa Clara Avenue. I had and owned and lived in that last home, 361 Santa Clara Avenue, up until 2007. I started remodeling that home shortly after the death of my mother and my Uncle Bob, actually occupied that home. He died in that home, but he died peacefully, so there was no issue, and never had any weird things happening in that home, because that's always something that people worry about when people die in homes, a ghost or something that could appear. And that wasn't the case. But like I said, the Pacific Coast Cannery is our claim to fame. We helped tens of thousands of people here in the city of Oakland. We know how to build community. We know how to take care of people. We know how to be economical and frugal with our money. Again, I'm the great grandson of this Chinese tycoon, Lew Hing. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.